Hey, everybody.
Now it's hashtag awkward beginning.
Awkward beginnings. All right. This is so awkward to start this way, but we have to apologize. We've gotten how many emails in, Kim?
At least
Two emails in complaining that we took a few weeks off. So.
Excuse me for having a child in those 2 weeks.
So congratulations.
And by
to
me,
Mike,
I mean my wife.
and more so to his lovely wife, who I don't even want to give her name out publicly because I don't want her to be assigned to this show at all. She's too good for that.
She is.
Yeah, so we've been kind of off and doing that. But then the last time that we were live outside and it was beautiful. Everything was going well, and then we realized that there was no internet connection, and you can't stream to YouTube without an internet connection. So weird. I know.
So someone could just come up with a unconnected cloud that just worked.
So I
with
googled that, and that's what we figured out. And we're way off center here because our booth is not here.
Can I reach over and?
Yeah, go for it. Fix it. That's the beauty of this show.
Oh,
How's that? How's that? Better?
A little better.
Well,
it's gonna take like
right.
There's a little delay.
So the reason we don't have our cool set anymore is actually the conversation and topic that we're going to talk about today, because it is currently on its way down to San Antonio, Texas, for the annual ACFE Global Fraud Conference, and I'll pull that up right here. If you go to fraudconference.com. So this fraud conference, if you don't know what ACFE is this is the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. It's the global association for everybody who is a certified examiner for fraud. And when we say fraud, that can be, in this case, that can be not only healthcare fraud, which we've talked about on the show before, but financial fraud, workers' comp fraud. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Unemployment fraud.
Unemployment fraud. There's a lot of fraud out there. And the show is going to be, so we'll be there at the show. 21CT will be there with our booth. We'll also be in the careers pavilion. We were always looking for awesome investigators and folks who are certified fraud examiners. And we were just talking to a few folks here who are CFEs about the test that you take. So you go here, you get, credits and stuff like that towards your certificate for fraud examination. And so that's why we just have a blank wall, which up to 5 minutes ago also had a bulletin board above us that we removed.
A ridiculously ugly bulletin.
It was a little, there was some wallpaper, issues. But anyhow, so we're doing that. So
no offense.
what we thought we would do is Mike and I went through, so if you're heading down there or you're looking to become a certified fraud examiner, you need to check out the show, and it's certainly the ACFE in general. But we went through and just found some of the sessions that we want to go to that we think are really cool. And please share with us at 21CT Inc. on Twitter. And, hashtag, I don't know, fraud. I don't really know. ACFE probably has a hashtag, right? The ACFE, right. So, at the ACFE. All right, awesome. So
at with an at or at with the AT?
It's at the at symbol, right?
Oh, the Twitter handle.
There you go. So let's go
I thought
through.
I thought we were talking hashtags.
Let's go through a few of the sessions that you had picked out. And if you look at the tracks, I thought it was funny. I quickly just searched for analytics, and we got 15 matches.
We got 16 without the.
sessions.
We got 16 without the S on the analytics.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's analytics. So it is a huge topic. No surprise there. A lot of folks there are getting kind of education on analytics, etc. But Mike, what were two of the ones that maybe you thought were kind of the most interesting?
Yeah, so the first one that struck me, I just seen the movie recently, and sort of getting beyond the Hollywood glitz and glamour of Wolf of Wall Street, is the two guys, the special agent that ran the investigation, as well as the U.S. District Attorney that prosecuted the case, that brought the case on the Jordan Belfort case, which is the Wolf of Wall Street guy. How they identified it, how they identified the money laundering pattern, because it was actually money laundering was how they. It wasn't all the securities fraud. It was actually the money laundering was how they nailed him.
Which is we find that in a lot of different fraud aspects.
It also works.
Laundering part.
It also works in tax evasion for what's his name, mobster Al Capone, right?
Right.
It was the money aspect. It was the money trail, not the other bad stuff.
Yes.
So that was particularly interesting. It'll be interesting to see what that story looks like from the mouths of the people that did it, as opposed to filtered through a Hollywood script and special effects and so on and so forth.
Right. No Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
So good in that movie, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yes. Really good. Scott never saw it, I'm sure. Not his thing.
It's not Moneyball.
Yeah.
Moneyball.
But he does follow the NFL draft.
He does. Yep. Great studio audience today, by the way. Really into it. They seem to be.
Yes.
So what's your other one?
Well, I see you 2, and I'm going to raise you 1.
What?
So I'm not sure which one to talk about first. The
Okay.
first one is I'll click on one and
I like this one.
okay. So this one was probably
This was
my favorite one because it's something that I absolutely am. I want to go see because I'm so curious as to what they're going to talk about and understand what these fraudsters, what these bad people are doing.
Yep.
As soon as I had that reaction and I let that settle for a second, my next immediate thought was, okay, as a fraud examiner, I now know what to not go look for because I've just sat through a conference that I'm sure fraudsters show up at this bad boy too, and now they know all the things that these people are looking for. So now I know what not to look for.
Yeah, it's funny. So I was at the NHCAA show in Orlando last fall, and so there was one exactly like this, and it was the 8. I think it was the 8. I'm probably exaggerating. I'd have to go back and look at what the title was, but it was the 8 most successful ways to defraud a healthcare system. And you walk into the room and you look around and you're kind of like, what's the percentage of people in here who are just taking notes to go and do these things?
Right.
And that's the quandary we're kind of in. It's not different either from our cybersecurity topic.
Oh, absolutely not.
Once you reveal a vulnerability,
Right.
you feel like you should, but then everyone's going to take advantage of it.
Right. Oh, like Heartbleed, right?
Right. Exactly.
The people that didn't know about it, the time between it becomes published
Right.
and everyone's patched, there's a pretty big window where people that didn't know about it are now taking advantage of it.
And then that's what. Come on in, Ross. Come on. We like to embarrass people who are not really getting involved in our studio.
They just happen to walk by.
You're actually a CFE, and we're talking about a CFE. So yeah, if I had a 2-camera budget, I'd be able to show Ross right now. But right now,
That's a $15 camera. You can't scrounge up
I
15.
bought that camera probably 10 years ago, and we're still using it.
It says HD on the front, so it can't be too bad.
It's a Microsoft camera. That's how bad it is.
Ah.
Right. So. Right. But
The
no,
little round ones.
I do think that's interesting. The other ones that I saw that I thought was pretty fascinating was this kind of idea. Where's the one that you and I were talking about of data analytics working smarter and harder with big data, and really talking about it. One of the things that we talk about constantly here is it's not about big data. It's about right data. It's about finding the data that you need to get your job done. It's about finding what you need to actually get results. And so one of the sessions there is really going to be focusing on the fact that it's getting smarter about the goals, projecting it forward, not just saying, I want to do big data to stop fraud, but why do I want to stop fraud? What's the ROI methodology? What are the different value-based KPIs that I'm going to get out of this? And that sounds very kind of MBA-ish, but you have to start thinking that way if you're going to move into this realm. You can't just sit there and say, well, I want to stop fraud. Well, yeah, that's what we all want to do, except for people doing it. And I want to do data analytics because that's what everyone tells me to do.
It's a checkbox.
Right. It's not good enough to do it that way. You have to make sure that you're actually laying out a plan, a business plan to actually get this stuff done. And then finding the right people to do that is a huge thing too. You can't just have some sort of data engineer or investigator. You have to teach them how to use data analytics. And so it looks like that session is going to be focused on those types of things. And I thought it was interesting that the person doing it's not only a CFE, but he's a CPA. So that I think he'll probably bring a practicality to the session that most people wouldn't. And then the last one here, and I'll show it, was kind of, again, this working smarter. You see a theme, right? It's understanding of data analytics. And the thing that I liked about this one was this line here. You will learn how to perform a case study in 2 different providers' software. I don't know what they're using, and maybe it's a competitor. Quite frankly, I don't care because we have to teach these people how to actually use the software.
Right.
This is not a human is in the loop, is what our fearless VP of sales told me today, and it was written on a whiteboard in his office. And that is true whatever domain you're in for data analytics. We don't leave the situation. We don't just deploy and depart. You have to have humans kind of in the loop, whether it's the folks who is the vendor or it's the folks who are using the types of thing. And so it looks like what this woman's going to be talking about is really more in line with this is how you use something and showing a case study of how you would actually see it to ground. So I'm looking forward to going to that one.
Yeah, and by the way,
talking to her afterwards.
Right, and by the way, also how to take and do all of that and then actually turn it into quantifiable results in dollars for your organization.
Going back to the first part,
right.
You have to have ROI overall. So talking about quantifiable results, it's a horrible segue, but I couldn't find anything else.
Right, yeah.
So, one thing I wanted to talk about was we had this fantastic blog post to our own horn over on 21ct.com/blog, and I'll show the blog post here because, well, there's just a great graphic as well. But this is talking about worker comp fraud, $7.2 billion problem right now, which is absolutely staggering. And you can read all the details. It's really well done, and thank you to Malika, who also CFE, I believe.
Yes.
And she wrote this fantastic article about all this stuff. But one of the case studies that she outlines is a woman named
Kathy Cashwell.
Kathy Cashwell, and that's her real name. I mean, that's amazing. Like, how do you not become a fraudster?
Well, and as an investigator, how do you not immediately look at that name, with no other context, and say, Kathy Cashwell, oh, she's bad.
Right.
I mean, her name just says, I'm committing fraud.
We should write an analytic that just gets names that are...
That have money, or...
Right. Yeah, some sort of... Do you think Kesha would probably be...
Well, I think the analytic is there a dollar sign in your is there a dollar sign in your name?
Then Scott's Google.
Oh, his daughter's listening to Kesha.
Oh, really?
Probably.
Huh.
He just doesn't know that that's what he's listening to in the car.
Right. No, he was listening to some good country music in the car today. It was good. I was grooving to it. I liked it a lot.
Was it Johnny Cash?
No, it was bad. It was bad country.
It was about as bad as that joke.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, so the idea of taking kind of this workers' comp fraud and figuring out how to use the different data elements that are out there. Malika kind of goes in there and not only from kind of the claimant, but the provider, and then eventually kind of the workers' comp premium fraud stuff. Really neat, and she ends it with a map of kind of state insurance commissions that if you need to report anything or you have information about that, you go and you can actually find all the contact information there. So I thought that was a great resource overall. 2 minutes left, and it's almost beer 30 for some of us. It's right now. Are we running 2 minutes late? He doesn't want overtime. Wow. All right. So our investigator of the week is. I need a drum roll. That was a lame drum roll. All right, that's pretty good. Thank you. All right. Jeremy Clopton. I actually have been following Jeremy on Twitter, so if you see it, it's on the screen right now, but it's J313. I'm not sure what that means. But Jeremy is a CFE as well, it looks like. Does a lot of forensics data mining. He's an avid runner as well, so that's kind of actually how I found him, was more around the running. But he has some great tweets out there. He's actually retweeting, just 35 seconds ago at the ACFE. I mean, look at that.
Right.
He couldn't have timed that better.
Mm-hmm.
But he has some really helpful stuff. He's pushing people to really good articles overall. I'm hoping if Jeremy is going to be at ACFE, I will be there as well. Would love to meet you, get to know you. But really good stuff there.
And talk about the hamster outfit he just tweeted about earlier.
Yeah, that was interesting. The Kia dancing hamster was accused of workers' comp fraud. So Scott likes that story a lot. That sounded like you when you found the roach this morning.
Hey now, you've been waiting to throw that in all day at me.
I had to do that.
You just had to wait till it was on camera.
So here, we gotta show this, right?
You gotta play the video, right?
Look at this. The 27-year-old Los Angeles man known as one of the dancing hamsters in a series of Kia car commercials was arrested for allegedly collecting state disability insurance benefits. And if you've seen the video, these guys are dancing all over the place.
You have to push play,
should we
right?
go out this way?
Yes, that should be our.
The problem is they're gonna run an ad. No, maybe not. Yeah, I don't want
okay.
Nothing against Chase. They may be a sponsor of the show.
They actually may need some investigators from.
We should sign them up though. But anyhow, you got to go and see that. I don't want to give them free advertising. But it is pretty funny overall that someone who is known to be jumping around in a hamster outfit is now accused of workers'
Is that more or less awkward than the wheel or the
So you're trying
Price
to
is Right?
manufacture an awkward ending, and that makes it worse.
I'm pretty sure I succeeded.
You always do. Well done. Hashtag.
Hashtag awkward ending.
I'm just glad that we're back. It just feels good.
It does feel good.
Doesn't it?
Oh, hold on.
Feel good?
I got to do my weekend update
That's
best
good.
impression.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you all. We'll be back next week. If you have a topic you want to hear, please hit us up at 21CT Inc. And we will talk to you next week, same time, and hopefully better background. Take care.